Welcome to Youthology on AUK Radio every other Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Brought to you by Attentive Social Enterprise. I'm Manur, and with me is
Sarah
and Gift. So, could you start by introducing yourself?
Yep. I'm Sarah. Like was mentioned, I've been at Attentive for not a full year. It'll be a full year in a few days. I'm a youth ambassador. I do a lot of stuff with the community. I do a lot of workshops, host a radio quite often. And alongside that, I'm also a sixth form student. I do biology, chemistry and maths. So my schedule is quite jam-packed, but I enjoy it.
How do you balance the schedule?
How do I balance it?
How do you get involved with Attentive whilst you're doing other things?
Mostly just because I want to. There's a need in me to do as much as I can. So I have a calendar and I just write down when something important is happening. So I always make sure to plan around it. So that's how I get involved in as much stuff as I can.
Nice. And what about you, Gift? Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Gift. I'm also a ambassador with Attentive. I've been for about 5 months now. I'm also a student at Luton Sixth Form College. I recently got signed off, so that's basically it.
Oh, that's great. We go to the same sixth form, so me and Gift know each other quite well. Yeah, and you, Manur? How long have you been with Attentive?
I think it's been over 2 years now, so I've been here a while. It is quite easy to get involved because it's so flexible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's really great because Attentive, they work around your schedule as well.
Yeah, especially since I go to uni, so it's like really easy to just, if I have assignments due, then I can just kind of opt out of Attentive stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to have that flexibility.
I agree.
So what are your hobbies and interests outside of Attentive?
My hobbies and interests? I really like animals, so I do anything to do with animals. I do a lot of dog walking, mostly because there's a lot of dogs in my community and a lot of elderly people as well. So that means I've got a lot of people's dogs to walk, which is great. I also love nature, which goes hand in hand with dog walking. There's these nice forests near me. And it's great because, you can really be one with nature. That might sound a little cheesy, but it's true. You can have fun. So that's mostly what my hobbies include. It's just being outside.
Nice.
What about you, Gift?
I like a lot of creative stuff. Poetry, drawing, singing. And I recently got interested in photography, and I also completed Duke of Edinburgh, so I'm into hiking and stuff. I just did it for fun, but now I actually like it, so hopefully I can get to go hiking again soon.
Oh, that's great. I heard that Duke of Edinburgh, it lasts like over a year, right? Like doing the full thing.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
What's it
I
like?
started in year 12 and I did it till year 13-ish.
Oh, wow. You have to do like 6 months of volunteering, if I'm right.
Yeah, I did the British Heart Foundation.
Oh, okay. That's
wow,
good.
Wow, very cool. What was that like?
It was very interesting because I haven't had any sort of job before that. So that was my first sort of it wasn't a job, it was volunteering, but still, that was my first time working in a team. And I just had different roles, basically. They just put me wherever, so I was just trying out different things. It was fun, and it was just once a week, so it was not too hectic or anything.
Oh, that's great. And Manur, from what I remember, you really like painting, right? Yeah.
I've had a lot of paintings in the Attentive events.
Yeah, I saw it in the Expressions event. It was so beautiful, like how you did the birds so intricately. I loved it.
Yeah, thank you. I always like getting involved with things like that because I feel like people that tend to do paintings and things like that, people don't usually see them, right? Because you don't really have people to show, because it'll just be in your house, right? So I feel like that's something where you can have people looking at your artwork and saying that it's cool and stuff.
Yeah, I actually was interested in painting. During lockdown time, I was sitting at home, sat at the kitchen table, we were painting. I would never show them though.
Why not? You should.
I was 11, so that really tells you a lot about the art.
No, but sometimes, you know how there's like a certain style there's like a really endearing style where it's like artists purposely try and make it look like children drew it. It's like, but it's like it's professionally done as well.
Artists don't want to mimic me. That's for sure. Yeah, but it's okay. You never know. I might take it up again.
Yeah, it'd be great to get more paintings in the events. You know.
Yeah, you know, it'll be good. Yes.
So, can you tell us more about how you first heard about Attentive and how you got involved?
Yeah, so I got involved because I had 2 friends who are Attentive, and they were just telling me, oh, you know, it's good for your CV, it's good for when you apply to university, it's fun, you know, there's a lot of people there, they're quite cool and stuff. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a fun little thing to do. And it was summertime as well. I didn't have much to do. And I came to one of the meetings right before the Luton's creative events. And I got to know, I didn't actually get to know them because we didn't really talk much, but I saw how they talked to each other and how planning the event was so important and all the steps that went into it. And I thought, you know, this actually seems like I could learn a lot from it. And Montel, the managing director, he gave me a business card. And then that same night I went and I applied for it. And then once I got in, it sounds like a really long story, but it's actually an interesting story, I guess. Once I got in, I joined the team meeting. Everyone was so nice. So I was like, oh, you know, this is quite a nice community everyone involved in. And since then, I've just been learning new stuff, getting involved in new stuff. So I've just learned a lot, all thanks to just knowing 2 people here. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah. And you mentioned planning, and I know you were part of the planning team for the last event.
Yes.
So could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yep. Well, I was only part of the planning team, if I can boast a bit, which I will. I was actually the deputy project manager. So I did have quite a bit of responsibility. It was really great because on every Friday, I think it was 5 p.m. every Friday, it was a group of us. We all got involved in planning the event. So we talked about what schools are going to get involved, how much art is going to get involved, who's going to get involved, like if there's individual creators. And it was really great seeing how every bit was like pieced together slowly. And I got to work really closely with Ruth, who was the project manager. And it wasn't her first project, so it was really great because I got to learn a lot from her because she was able to just handle like all of it so easily. Like I was like, oh wow, you know, maybe it'll be like her. Which I feel like at the end of the process, I really felt like I could, you know, I learned so much more about planning and what goes into it. So, you know, it's really great. I got to learn a lot about it.
That's great. And what about you, Gift? How did you first hear about Attentive?
I first heard about Attentive at Luton Sixth Form, actually. It was at the careers fair. They came and they had a stand. And I remember it was just mostly Jeremiah telling me about Attentive, because Jeremiah was friends with one of my friends. So they were both telling me about it and saying how Attentive is really good. And I had like the opportunities that comes with it, and I was hearing their experiences there as well. And I was just like, I might as well sign up. I don't really have anything to do right now as well, because I just finished the Duke of Edinburgh Award around then. So I was like, I might as well just try something new. So that's why I joined Attentive.
Oh, that's great. How about you, Manal? How did you get involved?
So Attentive did like a workshop in our school, and basically that's it. Yeah, so the same as you, I was given a business card, and they were saying how it was good for like CV and like work experience for for your personal statement for uni and things like that. So I think, you know, that really enticed me, and so I just got involved.
We've got like the same story then.
Yeah.
How cool.
I feel like the story for that would be similar because Attentive is really involved with schools and the workshops.
Yeah, with the community. Yeah. It's really easy to just get involved.
Yeah, I feel like especially once you hear about it once, you'll always think about like, should I join, should I not join? And then you just need that like one little push to join.
If you are thinking about it, just go ahead, just join. It's really great.
So what skills have you developed since joining Attentive?
Well, I already talked about how I've developed my skills on planning projects and stuff, which is a really big one. But also I've learned photography. I remember before I joined Attentive, I struggled so much with the camera. actually, I can't even call it struggling because I never picked up a camera. But since then, I've learned where the on button is, which is a big first step. It's been really great. I'm actually able to say I can take good pictures now. So whenever I get a chance, even at home, I've been given my own camera. So I take pictures for family events, just stuff like in nature, which I see, which I really think are pretty, at events that Attentive's at. So it's been great. Learned a lot of skills from that.
Wow.
And then like, you know, teamwork, delegation, all the basic stuff. I've just like improved on them, which is great. What about you, Gift?
Same as you, a lot of skills, because there are a lot of opportunities at Attentive. Communication skills, team working, like you said, note taking, article writing. There are a lot that I've learned at Attentive. And one that I recently just developed, or I'm still developing, is going to workshops and supporting at workshops, because it's something different. It's different from others, because most of it we do it online, and this is kind of like in person, get to work with children, depending on if it's a primary school, college, or sixth form. So it's just going into those schools and learning how to work with people, networking as well. So there's just a lot of skills you get with Attentive.
Yeah, workshop, that's a really difficult skill to... Actually, not... For me, it was quite difficult to learn. It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I think it's good to get feedback from other people, like members of the team, for like other youth ambassadors. You'll listen to how they're presenting Attentive, and you'll pick up like different ways of introducing it. And I feel like that's really helpful because you can get feedback.
I don't think you could learn workshop skills from anywhere else, because schools and colleges, they don't teach you how to host a workshop. You know, it's quite a random skill. It's also a very useful skill, you know. You know, good for public speaking. Yeah.
So for me, my favorite skill that I've learned is writing. And there's like 2 avenues you can go with Attentive. There's like the poetry route. Yeah. And well, I mean, you can try everything. Yeah, there's also the article writing route. And you've written articles.
A few,
yeah. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. You know, it's really lovely seeing my name on the news.
Yeah. It's nice to know that you've had an impact.
I know.
Like a week ago or something, the police actually shared one of the articles that I wrote.
I was like, my gosh, that's great.
So cool. I feel like you can't really have an opportunity like that in different places if you're like a young person. So it's so cool that you can have that in Attentive, where you can publish articles and like make an impact. Yeah,
it's like my English language skills didn't go to waste after GCSEs. Yeah, they really helped you develop so many skills. Attentive does. Like, who would have thought, like a year ago, I could not have imagined me writing an article which would be published.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I could write anything worthy of being published, but I did learn. I had training, and then look at it.
It's really
I've been published.
And even after the training, you get feedback. Yeah, and there's always like support available.
There's always someone to help you if ever need it, which is great.
So, is there a particular lesson or workshop, or even just an experience that stands out to you you've had with Attentive?
Most impactful workshop, it would probably be the photography one. That was one of the first workshops that I was part of. Basically, it was just me and a few other people, youth ambassadors from Attentive. Montel did a little bit of a workshop with us where he taught us how to use camera at Wooddown Park, and we got to, you know, like do take pictures of the wildlife, which was great, pictures of the water, which was difficult because, you know, you don't understand it until you're actually holding a camera with, you know, the managing director, you know, sprinkling water, and you have to take pictures of it.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was just sprinkling water, and we had to take pictures of the droplets. Oh, and it was really difficult because, like, one of the first times I used the camera, like, how am I supposed to take a picture like that? But then actually at the end of, like, the half an hour we did we spent doing that, I was able to take a good picture of water droplets.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a very strange achievement, but I did accomplish it. Yeah, that's probably my favourite workshop because it was really interactive and I loved it. What about you, Gift?
That's fun.
Mine was the career stand. This is from last Wednesday. It was I, Liber, Jeremiah, and Manuel. So it was just surreal because the last time they came, it was I on the other end, the student, listening to them, hearing what Attentive does. And this time around, I was the one speaking to students. And I spoke to some of my friends as well because that's my sixth form. So it just felt surreal. Me being there, talking about my experience and talking about attentive when I was the one being spoken to the last time.
Yeah. It's cool. You get to, you know, be involved in so many stuff at attentive. What about you, Manor?
Adding on to what Gift said, that was like probably the most talking I've ever done.
Really?
In that short amount of time, because there's so many people there, especially on the attentive stand.
Yeah.
So many people had gathered around and like wanted to know about our experience. Where like other stands were saying, "Oh, you have a lot of people," and because their stands may have been like quieter at some points.
Yeah.
But our stands were always busy, and there was always people coming up to us.
Yeah, I wasn't actually part of the stand, but I did come by a few times.
Yeah.
Whenever I came by, it was always full. And then eventually, when it got a bit quiet, I came by, said hello, and I was lucky enough to get a few sweets. So, you know, that's always great.
Yeah. So looking ahead, what do you hope to achieve both personally and as part of attentive?
Part of attentive, I would like to do more trainings because, you know, I want to develop my skills. I want to write more stuff on my CV. There's always more that you could learn at attentive. It's never like, oh, I finished. You know, there's always a continuous journey, which is great. And then personally, I want to be, I guess, more confident. I already feel like I've gained a lot of confidence being at attentive, but I still feel like, oh, sometimes I get shy in a big group of people. But, you know, with doing more public speaking at attentive, I feel like I would be able to overcome that fear, I guess, a bit more. What about you, Gift?
With attentive, same as you said, just going to more trainings, building and developing those skills that I already have, and also learning more, because there are a few things I haven't even like tried since I got there, and there's still time for me to do that. And personally, just socially, I feel like I would speak to people, but more time I would just be like keeping to myself. I don't really like to do too much of talking, so just doing and learning how to work more, socialize more. So that's more on the personal part.
Yeah. What about you, Manor?
I think the confidence thing, definitely. I feel like I've already like kind of seen the confidence like developing in a lot of the youth ambassadors, where like they'll be shy at the beginning, and then as we go on with more workshops and like more as they come part of the radio, like I'll see how they've progressed in their confidence, so that's really good to see.
Yeah. You know, speaking of that, I do have a very random fact. Did you know that a bolt of lightning is 5 times hotter than the sun's surface? I bet you didn't know that.
Let's test it.
Oh yeah, you know, let me just go and near some lightning. No, I will never do that. Neither should you. Stay safe, guys.
So, reflecting on your journey with attentive so far, we've mentioned a lot of skills. So what would you say is the biggest way attentive has changed you as a person?
Biggest way? Probably, I guess, I've become more social. I've always stayed to myself. Like, I've always had like a relatively small group of friends. I never liked really reaching out. I was really just comfortable. And then since I've joined attentive, I've, you know, learned to be a bit more, I guess, go into more uncomfortable zones. Because the only way you can learn and progress and, you know, all that kind of, you know, intriguing stuff is if you put yourself into an uncomfortable position. And I've done that multiple times now, and I've only improved as a person. I've gained confidence through that. And I don't know, maybe become a more interesting person from that as well. What about you, Gift?
I think it's mostly me being more open-minded. I'm more likely to put myself out there, and put myself up to more opportunities. So most times, before I'd just be like, nah, not really doing that. But now I'm just more open-minded to be like, oh, let me try this, let me see how this will go. Even though I don't necessarily like the thing, I'll still be like, let me try it, let me experience it and see how that goes.
Yeah. What about you, Manor? Tell me about that.
It might not seem important, but I feel like before I would talk very quietly. That's just naturally how I speak. But I feel like now, like even in the last workshop, I felt like I was talking really loud. So I think it's just interesting to see those little changes where it's like the tone of your voice or the, you know, whatever it is. And it just like reflects your confidence, I feel like. I feel like, that's the biggest way that I've seen the change in myself.
I like these changes we're talking about.
They're very positive.
Yeah, all for the better.
Yeah. So, since we have spoken about like positive things, what sort of advice or encouragement would you give someone who's thinking about joining the team but maybe is a bit unsure?
Well, I would just say go for it. You know, I've only learned great things. I've improved as a person. I've improved socially, mentally, not physically. I haven't done anything physical stuff, but all the other big things I've improved. I feel like I've become more confident. I work better as a team. Before, I'd take on a lot of stuff and work on it by myself. But then since joining Attentive, I've learned like, oh, there's actually people to help me, you know, people who actually want to help. So, you know, it's never like, oh, you'll be doing so much all by yourself. There's always people around you. They're always there to guide you. So if you're ever feeling hesitant, you know, you can just, you know, go for the interview, see how it is, you know, experience, you know, how it's like to be a youth ambassador. And then you can decide whether it's for you, whether it's not for you. You know, I'm guessing because most of the people who have joined Attentive, they've stayed for a long time, that you're going to like it. You know, it's a great experience. Yeah, so just go for it. That's what I'm telling you to do. So just listen. What about gift? What do you say?
You said almost everything I wanted to say, but just seize the opportunity. You can try different things. There are a lot of opportunities with Attentive. Just putting yourself out there, experiencing new things, and just trying out new things, and you enjoy your time there, and you'll make connections with people.
Yeah. What about you, Minor? What's your words of wisdom?
I think there isn't really a reason that you shouldn't join, because if you say that like you don't have the time, then I would say that Attentive is so flexible where if you are, for example, going through exams, because we do work with like a lot of students as well, if you are going through exams, you can just take time out, or you can like limit this type of stuff you're involved in.
Yeah.
So I think there's so many like support networks in Attentive where like if there's something that's kind of you're not sure about, you can just like reach out to someone in the team or your mentor.
Yeah, there's always someone there for you.
So now we'll speak about how Attentive can help us get the job we're aspiring for. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I want to go into veterinary medicine. I haven't applied yet because I'm in year 1 of sixth form, but I'm planning on applying summertime. And I know so many people who are my age and they've got absolutely nothing to write on their personal statements. But I've been lucky enough that I'm a youth ambassador, so I've got so many, they're all like random stuff. Like who can say they were deputy project manager for a project? And I was like, oh, I can write that, and I can write quite a bit about that. I can write about how I work with the community, how I do workshops with the youth and different stuff to set me aside from other people. Because it's not one of those common skills. Like you can't just say, oh, I do a lot of workshops. Like you need to know, you need to be like a youth ambassador or something like that to have these opportunities available. So I think that Attentive can really help me by setting me aside from other people when it comes down to applying for university and later down the line, like applying for jobs and stuff. What about you, Gif? What do you think?
I think it can really help with like transferable skills, because I applied to uni already. I already have offers, and I used this also with like I also want to apply to midwifery after I'm done with uni. So I think it's just having those transferable skills, those communication skills, leadership skills, like you said, the workshop as well, going on the radio. There's several opportunities that you get with Attentive that you can always put on there, and there's a lot of things. I think employers will be shocked at how much you do or we do in Attentive, because you can say a lot of opportunities that you've had and how the experience has built you.
Yeah. What about you, Minor? What do you think? How can Attentive help you with securing? You're in uni already, right?
Yeah.
So you're thinking about jobs.
Yes.
How do you think Attentive can help you secure a job?
Well, I think a lot of my CV already has Attentive stuff in it, because there's like a lot of the transferable skills, like communication is the biggest one, like the employers will look at. So I think it is something that's good to have on there. And I did use it for my personal statement for university. Yeah. So yeah, it is good to have on there.
So what are you studying at university right now?
Biomedical science.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, I actually know somebody who does that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, she's a family friend of mine, and she's just finished studying biomedical science, and she said that she's been applying literally everywhere. So like she has like this whole like massive LinkedIn profile, but like it's not very full. She doesn't do much aside from going to university, but she's applied like on all those like major websites, And she says that she can't find anywhere.
Yeah, like the job market is it's quite hard to get a job. Like even like if you have a degree, it's still hard to get it. And like even the simple jobs like retail or fast food, like the ones that you would get as a uni student. I've applied to so many, and it's like there's no jobs.
Oh my gosh. I actually did apply to a few jobs recently. Actually, not recently. No, a few months ago I did apply. And I applied to places like TK Maxx and H&M and like all those like basic stuff you find in the town centre. And either I got declined. Actually, no, I only got declined twice. The other 10 just didn't reply. Which is a great feeling. I love that feeling. Gift, have you had any of these experiences?
Yeah, I have, because I was trying to get some jobs while at sixth form, and that was up to no good. So I just put my time into attentive instead, because like might as well just have that experience, and then instead of just staying home and not doing anything. Yeah,
because if you think about it now, like we may not have all the skills necessary to apply for these jobs. Maybe we're too young, but that's what they usually say. I'm too young from the two that rejected me. They told me I'm too young and I'm not qualified enough. But since then, it's been many months. I've gained a lot of skills to attentive. So I do think that, just putting all my time in now to attentive, I can gain the most out of it. So like now I can put a bunch of stuff onto my UCAS application. And then I will carry on with attentive even when I'm in university. So that when it comes down to the time when I'm applying for jobs like in the veterinary side, I will have a lot of different stuff. Because, a lot of people can say, oh, I went to university, I got my degree. But can they say they work with the community, that they know, the people. Like I work with the Luton community. And when I come back to Luton and when I get a job, I can say, oh, I actually worked with this person before. I know the area. Not many people can say that. They can't say, oh, I know the community. I've done workshops with the community. I've done the radio. I've gone to know a lot of people. So putting my effort in, like Gift just said, into attentive, I feel I can get the most out of it.
I think it's about like trying to improve your chances as much as possible, and that's like doing the extra things. And I think with attentive, there's so many different things that they offer, so many different skills, where it's like you only really need to do attentive, you don't really need to find a place that you can do poetry and you can do hosting, because it's all in one.
I agree completely. This reminded me of the 2008 economic crash. Well, I've heard of it. I was still a baby when it happened. But from what I hear from people that I was speaking to previously, everything got better in 2013. So that means if we're in 2025 right now, 5 years later when I'm out of university, and you too, roughly that time, everything should be better. So I guess maybe we don't need to worry too much. But still, quite concerning, because I might need a part-time job in university. So think about that kind of stuff, Eek. Scary. Do you know anything about the economic crash?
Well, I was also very young at that time. But yeah, like a lot of people were struggling, and it's like a lot of people lost their jobs, of course.
Yeah.
It's so hard, especially if you're supporting a family, to be going through that. And I think like a lot of people are still experiencing that now, where they either can't find a job, or if they do have the job, they're like, they just,
Yeah. Talking about this actually reminded me of this article which I read. It was actually a really long article, so I skimmed through it, but the title of it really stuck with me. It was basically something about how Luton is a warehouse town, but it doesn't have any jobs available in it, which is really strange, because there's a lot of warehouses, like the Lidl warehouse, Amazon warehouse, and so many warehouses around. But people are still struggling to get jobs at those warehouses. And to get a job there, like, do you even need GCSEs is the question. And people are still getting rejected. Like, people with degrees are getting rejected from the Lidl warehouse. How is that happening? How is someone qualified to do a massively high-paying job getting told no, or not even responded to? And that's just crazy, because I think, we've been scammed into thinking that we need a university degree. For some jobs, understandably, like I can't become a vet and say, oh, I just finished A-levels, just give me a job. I can't say that. Like, obviously some jobs need, degrees, but other stuff, like, if you want to go into like radio or something like that, do you necessarily need a degree? No, there's lots of different parts. There's, apprenticeships, there's apprenticeships.
There's the T levels.
There's apprenticeships, there's T levels. So there's a lot of different paths. So I don't think putting yourself into debt for university is always the answer.
Yeah, actually, when I started university, I really started like seeing the value of apprenticeships.
Yeah.
Because it's like some jobs you don't really need a degree for.
Yeah.
You can just have like certain qualifications which you can get through apprenticeships. So I think if you're thinking about going into a career or a job that doesn't really need a degree, I don't think going for that route would be the best.
That actually reminds me of I think it was not the last episode, but one before that, we actually had a lady come in. She works at this construction company, and she was telling us all about how there's so many different pathways of getting into this construction company. Because one of my favorite things that she said was, actually, I'm going to ask you this. What do you think of construction? What do you think of?
Buildings.
Okay, let me stop you there. Actually, no. Let me ask Gif, what do you think when you think of construction?
It's just that just buildings and like the planning behind it, working together to build up something.
Okay, well, you guys got the small picture. You did not get the big picture. The big picture is actually the people behind the desks. So you can go get a degree and then you can work in construction, which sounds so strange to think. But like, there's so many different jobs that you can go into. And we had the lady in the last episode, her name is Norma, and she came and she said to us that there are so many different ways to get into it. You can go apprenticeships, there's work experience, and there's so many different things. And you wouldn't even imagine it. You know, when you think construction, you thought building. Well, you can also get into an office job. You can sit at a desk all day if that's what you want. It's that kind of job you want. You can get into it. And you don't need a university degree. You don't need to go into debt. You can make money. You can get your way through it, you know, and you can have a guaranteed job after your apprenticeship, which is great. So you don't always need to go, you know, university and then job, because not necessarily there will be a job after it.
Yeah. Especially with careers that are becoming more popular. A lot of people are going for those degrees, and then everyone has that degree. So it's kind of everyone's on the same level when it comes to like applying for a job.
Yeah.
And then with that, you got to think about how are you going to distinguish yourself from other candidates.
Yeah.
And I feel like Attentive does come into that, because it's like these extra skills alongside the degree, whereas some people might just have the degree.
You know, what you just said gave me a massive just understanding in my head. Like, I just got like, whoa. Basically, I just realised, if you think about it, like 50 years ago, a lot of people did not go to university. Like, I can say that, you know, my grandparents, I don't think they went to university. I know for a fact that my granddad did not go to university. Neither did my grandparents on my dad's side. So probably back then, university was a massive deal. That's why you got guaranteed jobs after it.
Yeah.
But like you said, everyone gets a degree now. So
yeah, it's so common.
How does that make you stand out? Maybe 50 years ago it made you stand out. But now, in this economy, you know, when everyone is basically on the same level and on the same level of debt, you're starting on a minus. And then you're expected to excel because you've got a degree. But then you're actually, like you said, on the same level as everyone else. That's why we've got to make yourself stand out. That's why we're Attentive, because we are actively trying to improve our futures. Just like you can.
And then because of that, you'll have jobs where it's like entry-level jobs, and you'll need so much experience for that, because everyone does have that degree now. So it's like, you know, I feel like everything's gone a bit harder with that now. Because
the employers now, they don't, like, sure, you need a degree, but, you know, you need experience. Yeah. And that's why when we're Attentive, we've got experience from so many different areas, which is great. That's why don't rely solely on university. Rely on bits like, you know, can I work with my community? Can I do volunteering? It's not always just, okay, let me go the normal way. Don't go the same paths that your parents follow, you know, because everything has been, actually, I feel like I'm rampaging right now. I need to stop. I feel like I'm just going against the whole, like, norm. I feel like I need to stop there. Okay, because I literally just said, don't do what your parents say. Oops.
I mean, I feel like what you're trying to say is don't just look at what other people have done and be like, oh, that's what I have to do.
See, I like what you said. I don't like what I just said there.
It's okay.
Okay.
So. Yeah, it's all about like trying to figure out what's best for you you know, because some people do need the degree with what their job is going to be, and some
actually, I did say that, so I didn't go completely off.
So yeah, it's just about trying to figure out what you as a person need. And like with attentive and like these other extracurricular things, you shouldn't be just doing it for your CV or your personal statement. I feel like you should do it for your personal development as well, because it is a nice feeling when you feel yourself becoming more confident and like just improving your speaking. So I think, you know, do things not only for the CV but also for yourself.
I agree. Gift, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I just agree with everything you guys have said. You said a lot. Yeah, it's just developing those skills and distinguishing yourself from other people.
Yeah, I agree.
That's where we'll end the show. Some very interesting discussions, I would say.
Yes.
And I hope you guys tune in next time.
Goodbye.